Okay, for this project, you're going to have to open your hotel room selection project from chapter 2. You're going to go ahead and open your form so that you have that open on the page. Okay, and what you're going to do is we're going to start with the form. So you're going to select the form, make sure, look in the properties, and make sure that your form hotel room selection is displayed. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the background color of the form. So what that is that's the back color. So these should be alphabetical. If they're not, click on this alphabetical to display your properties in alphabetical order. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll up to back color. Back color, not background. Okay, that's background image, that's background image layout. We're going to choose back color. Okay, go click on the right and it's going to have a pull down. Okay, we want to choose the web colors. Okay, and for the background color, we're going to choose corn silk. And these are not in alphabetical order, so you're going to have to scroll down a little bit. And you're looking, it's kind of a yellowish color, so you're going to go down until you get into kind of the yellowy colors. And you're going to choose corn silk. Okay, so there's a corn silk color. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to select all the buttons. So we're going to click on the first button, hold down your control key, select the next button, the next button, the next button. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to choose the back color for those buttons. Okay, again, choose the back color. Now, it says corn silk, even though the back color on these is not corn silk. Okay, it's just that that's the last color we displayed. Again, pull down the color, make sure web is selected. And for the back color of these, we're going to choose light salmon. So we're going to look, and this is kind of an orangey color, and I think actually this is up. So we're going to go into the orangey colors, and this is going to be light salmon. There's our light salmon. Oops, it went down and passed. And you can see the light salmon is this kind of, it's kind of a orangey sort of color. Okay, so we're going to change our the colors of our buttons to that light salmon color. Okay, now the next thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you have the the images that you're going to use for the rooms. Okay, the images are in the classroom, okay, in the file folder. It's a zip folder. I've already downloaded the images. I've downloaded them to my desktop. So what we're going to do is you're going to click in the standard room image. Okay, you're going to click there, and what we need to do is we need to change the image. So again, we're going to go in here, make sure that you're in the standard room, so it should be pick standard room. We're going to go down again, and we're going to choose the image. It should say none right now. Okay, we're going to click, it should display an ellipsis. Okay, we're going to click on the ellipsis. Now what you need to do is you actually have to import an image from a file on your desktop or wherever you saved it. So we're going to click on that radio button to choose local resource. We're going to import. Okay, I have them on my desktop. So here's my file folder, and I'm going to choose my standard room, JPEG, and I'm going to choose open. Okay, now when you've got your standard room, there's what the image looks like. You can see what the whole image looks like. I'm going to choose OK. Now when it goes into the picture, you can see that it doesn't show the whole picture. We're gonna fix that here in just a minute, okay? So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the deluxe room image. So the same way, we're gonna go to the image, we're gonna click image, go to local resources, import. Okay, find the deluxe room, open. Okay, and again, you can see there's what the whole deluxe room looks like. You can see that it's, you know, the two chairs, the curtains, everything. Okay, now what we're going to do is we need to change the size mode. Now, since both of these are the same type of object, we can click, hold the control button, and select. Whenever you're working in the same types of objects and you're changing the same property, you can always select both of them at the same time. It saves a lot of time. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to size mode, elemental P, size mode. Click on that, we're going to pull it down, and we're going to choose stretch image. And see what it does is it makes the image the size to fill the whole object that you've selected, the size of the whole object. So in this case, even though stretch implies that it's making it bigger, it actually shrunk the picture in order to in order to fit within the box. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change the visible property. And we're going to do the visible property on both of these so you can keep them both selected. So we're going to go down to the visible property, and we're going to set the visible property on both of these. The visible property is whether or not the person can see it. So the visible property on both of these we want to be false. So when the person actually starts the form, those images will not display, because remember, on our requirements document, when the person loads the form, in order to see the image, they have to select one of the buttons, right? So we need to have that set to false, okay? Now, we need to also set the confirmation, okay? You have completed your room selection. We don't want them to see that, because obviously until they've actually selected the room, we don't want them to see this, right? You have completed your room selection. We don't want them to be able to see that until after they've selected their room. So we want to do the same thing. The visible property, we want to select that to false. Now, why didn't we do that at the same time that we did these two? Because this is a different object type. Now, see if we do that, select that, and then go down to the visible. Well, actually, it would let us do those at 3 at the same time. Okay, never mind, I lied. Okay, so you can do all 3 of those at the same time. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to run the program to see what effect that had on the program. So you're going to see what happens. So when we actually run the program, when we start it, you can see that now there's no rooms displayed, and it doesn't say that I've selected a room. So we're doing good. Okay, that's exactly how we wanted it to display. Okay, so, and I'm going to amend my statement that as long as you're working with the same property, doesn't matter what kind of an object you're selecting, as long as you're working with the same property, you can select all the objects that, that are affected. Okay, now we're going to set the select room button. Okay, select room. We want to change the enabled property. Enabled means whether it works or not. Okay, whether the user can select it, whether they can click on it. Okay, we want to set the enabled button to false, because they can't select a room until they look at a room, right? We don't want them to be able to select a room until they look at it. So we don't want them to just be able to select a room without being able to look at it, right? They have to have it on in order to select it. So we want that not enabled or disabled, right? And the exit window, and actually we could have done those at the same time. The exit button enabled, we want to set to false, because they can't exit the button, or they can't exit the button. They can't exit the window until after they've made their room selection. Okay, so let's run the program again and see what happens. Okay, if you look at the buttons now see how these have kind of the brighter thing around it, okay? And these don't have a, see how they're kind of whited out? It's kind of hard to tell, but these are whited out, so you can't do anything on those. These I can select, this one I can select, these ones I can't select. Now obviously when I select, it doesn't do anything, see, but it flashes. Okay, but it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't show the rooms. Why? Because I haven't programmed it, because the program doesn't do anything. But see, when I click on this one, when I click on this one, it doesn't do anything. See, it doesn't even do that flash. Okay, because these are not enabled. Okay, of course it doesn't do anything again because I haven't programmed it. I haven't told the program what to do. Okay, now I'm going to tell the program what to do when I press each of those buttons. So what I'm going to do, in order to program the standard room button, I'm going to double click on it. And what that's going to do is it's going to open the code window. Okay, and what I have is I have I have a form hotel selection, and then I have this standard button _ click. So what I'm going to get rid of this right here. I don't want that. So in order to delete any unused sub procedures, you delete from private sub all the way down to end sub and just delete. Okay, now the first thing that you need to do is you need to program the comments about your program. So we're going to go above the public class, just go ahead and in front of the public class, hit the enter key a couple times. Do the little hash mark to start doing your program, your comments. We're going to do program name, and this is, and then I'm going to do a tab so everything lines up. Hotel room selection, and then we need to do the developer. And let's see, the developer is going to be me. And then the date. And then you put today's date. And then the program purpose. Oh no! I like everything to line up. And then whatever the purpose is, purpose to select hotel room. And then whatever additional lines. If you know, I mean, whatever your purpose is going to be, you may have a longer purpose, whatever you think it is. This application displays 2 hotel room types, standard and deluxe. The user can select a room type. That's what they put. So you can put that. Okay, so now we have our program, what we need to program that this button does. Okay, so we're going to put our insertion point here, and we need to put our first comment. What does this sub procedure do? Okay, so this code is executed when the user clicks the standard room button. It displays the standard room picture, hides the deluxe room picture, and enables the select room button. Okay, so this one does a lot of things. Okay, notice that notice that we have on each one of these we have to put our little hash mark. So otherwise it won't be a comment. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to make the standard room picture object visible. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start typing. So here's our pick standard room. So I'm just going to mouse down to it, pick stand room, and then what property is it that we're trying to do? Visible. It assumes that I want to do visible, so that's fine. So I'm just going to do space equals and then true. Okay, so that's the one I want. So I'm just going to do mouse down. Always use that IntelliSense when you can. If you're not finding it on IntelliSense, honestly, you're probably typing something wrong. Okay, so always use IntelliSense. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the deluxe room picture box not visible, because you're like, well, it's already not visible, so why do I have to make it not visible? Because what if they had what if they had clicked the other button first? We need to make it invisible. So we're going to do pick deluxe room dot visible, okay, equals, and then false. Oops. Got ahead of myself there, equals false. Okay, so we need to do that. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to make that button select, and there it is, button select room. Okay, we need to make it enabled, and then we want it to be true. Okay, so those are the three things that we're going to do on that one. Okay, and then that ends the sub procedure. Okay, so now we're going to run the program and we're going to see if that works. So that was the standard room button. So let's run the program and see if that works. Okay, click that. All right, it makes this visible. We can't see if it makes the deluxe room invisible because we haven't programmed that button yet, so we haven't made that visible. But let's see. It enables the select room button. Is this enabled? Yes, it is. See how it flashes when I click it? So it enabled that button. So far, so good. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we need to code for the next event. Okay, so we need to do the button select room. Okay, we're going to code for this button. So what we're going to do is, rather than just, we don't want to have to type all this stuff because the IDE, the code editor, will do that for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the form. We're going to double click the select room button. And what that does is it codes all that information for us. And what this is saying is it's saying when somebody clicks on that select room button, then see button select room underscore click. That's the event. Okay, when someone clicks on the button select room, then, and we have to write the code. So what we're going to do is we're going to write comments. And you always have to comment these sub-procedures. You have to write what these sub-procedures do. And for these little small programs, it seems kind of, well, why am I doing this? Because it's obvious what it does. Well, when you get into the habit of doing it, it's like putting your seatbelt on. Even if you're going just down to the end of the street, you should put your seatbelt on. And even if you're going for short trips, if you're always in the habit of putting your seatbelt on, then you're not going to accidentally forget on those long trips. So if you're in the habit of putting comments in these short programs, then when you start writing those really big programs, you're not going to forget. So we're going to do that little hash mark. Oops, little hash mark. That's for a comment. So this code is executed when the user, hash mark again, clicks the select room button. And the reason that we put it on multiple lines is just because it's easier to read, because if you keep going on and on and on and on, then you have to use this and scroll across. These are not, the program doesn't actually read these. These are for any programmers that may come after you and are trying to read your code and figure out what you were doing. Maybe they need to make changes or they're trying to update something. And this just helps them to find their way around and navigate the code so they understand what you were thinking when you wrote this code. So this is for the humans. This is not for the computer. And you can, as long as you've got these little hash marks here and it's in green, it doesn't matter what you write. You can, there's no rules, there's nothing, it's not going to give you any errors. You can do whatever you want. As long as you've got these little hash marks, you can do whatever you want in this section. But it's very important that you do this because it tells, like I said, it tells anybody who's looking at this code what you were thinking when you wrote it. Okay, very, very, very important. Okay, so what we're going to do now first is we're going to disable the button, the standard. Okay, we're going to disable the button standard room object. Okay, so we're going to do button, and then there's the standard room right there, button standard room. And again, this is called IntelliSense. Always use this when you want. And the way that I'm getting it to just put that stuff in is I'm just typing whatever the next keystroke is. The dot is the next keystroke, and it says enabled. My next keystroke is a space, so I type a space for it to put it in there. And now I want, I want false. And so now I'm just going to type the enter key because that's the next thing that I want to do. enter is the end of the line. Okay, in some programming languages, it's a semicolon. In Visual Basic, the end of a line is an enter. So whenever you type the enter, that's the end of a line. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disable the button select room button object. So I'm going to do the same thing, button select room. I'm going to enable it. No, I'm going to disable it, sorry. I'm going to disable the deluxe room button object. Okay, and the reason we're disabling all these is because once you've, this is the select room. Once you've selected the room, we don't want them to be able to go back and start looking at the rooms anymore. At this point, they're done. Okay, so at this point, they're done. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to hide the instruction label. Okay, so there's the instructions. So that's the visible property. And so that we're going to make that false. Okay, and notice that I'm putting spaces after everything. That's called white space, those spaces. That's white space. It doesn't have to be there, but it just makes it easier to read. Okay, now I'm going to make the confirmation message visible. Okay, so that they can see, and I'm going to enable the exit button. Okay, so now what I've done is I've disabled all the buttons, I've hidden the instructions, I've made the confirmation message visible, and I've made the exit button available to them to press. Okay, so let's just see what happens. Okay, so I can click on the standard room. Okay, I still haven't programmed the deluxe room button, so I can't do anything with that. I can select my room, and now this button's disabled, this button's disabled, this button's disabled. My instructions are gone. Here's my confirmation message, and now I can click on that exit window button. Now, it doesn't do anything because I haven't programmed it yet, but I can press on it. Okay, so let's close this and let's go back. Okay, we're going to go back to the form because we're going to program our next button. Okay, next we're going to program our deluxe room. Okay, so we're going to double click on it. Okay, same thing. Remember, we have to have our comments. Okay, so what is this going to do? Basically, this is going to do the same thing as this one does. So if you want to, we can just copy this, go down here, paste it. Okay, this code is executed when the user clicks the, and then get rid of this, deluxe room button. It displays the deluxe room picture, hides the standard room picture, and enables the select room button. So now what we want to do is we want to change this. Okay, so look, this is the deluxe room. So actually what we can do is we can just change up these two. We can change this to false and change this to true. Okay, and there, we're done with that one. Okay, and then just to make sure it works right, we can go in here, run it, deluxe. Okay, standard, deluxe, standard, deluxe, standard, deluxe, standard, deluxe. And then to make sure that the select room button does what it's supposed to do. Now remember, select room is supposed to disable all this, right? And it's supposed to display this and deselect that. So select room. Look at that. Does everything it's supposed to do. Okay, excellent. So that was a lot easier than typing all that stuff over again, right? Okay, now the last step we need to do is we need to program that exit button. So we're going to double click on the exit button. Exit button is one of the easiest buttons to program. Okay, so remember we always need to start out with the comments. So we're going to put this code is executed when the user clicks the exit window button. It closes the window and terminates the program execution. Okay, and then again, putting that extra blank there, that's white space. Again, that's called white space, and it just makes it easier to read. And actually, I should have some white space here too. Okay, you should always have white space, white space, white space. See, it just makes the program easier to read. Okay, so we're going to go there, and what we're going to do is we're just going to put close. We just start typing. Okay, there's close right there. Okay, and then the next keystroke for that is the open and close parentheses. Okay, that's all it is. Open and just close. That's all it is. The open and close parentheses are because this is a method. Okay, it's called a method, and there are no arguments to the method. Arguments would go inside those parentheses. We have no arguments, so it's just close, open, and close the parentheses. That's all there is to it. So now what we're going to do is you always need to run your program, and you need to test all of the buttons and make sure everything works. Okay, now you can't make any errors on this, so you can't do error checking, so we don't have to worry about that yet. Eventually you'll have to worry about that, but for now you don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the debugging button here, and we're going to test everything. We're going to make sure everything works. Standard button, yes, it works. Deluxe button, yes, it works. Now, you can't just press the standard button and the deluxe button and say, okay, they both work. We have to go back and we have to test the standard button again to make sure that the deluxe picture goes away when we press the standard button, and then we need to go back and press the deluxe button again to make sure that the standard goes away when after the deluxe has been displayed. We need to make sure that they go away once one of the other ones has been displayed. It's not good enough just to test it once. Then we need to, choose a room type and then click the select room button. So we've done that. We've checked. Now we need to do the select room. Make sure that this is disabled. Now the type of room stays displayed, and I think that that's what was supposed to happen, so that's fine. You've completed your room selection, and the exit window button comes up, and it exits the program. Now, one more thing that you want to check, is you want to check and make sure that select room doesn't work when these buttons are enabled, and you want to make sure that the exit button doesn't work when those buttons are enabled. Okay, you always got to check the things that are not supposed to work shouldn't work. You need to test those things. A lot of times people don't test for things that aren't supposed to work. They just assume, oh, okay, well, it doesn't work. You need to check those, okay? And then also check from the standard room. Okay, we've checked from the deluxe room, but check from the standard room to make sure you can still do the select room and exit the window. Okay, so you got to make sure you check everything. Once you've checked everything, you're satisfied that your program works, there's no errors, then you can go ahead and save. Make sure you do save all. Okay, and you turn in your program. That's it.